How can you grow corn on a fertility budget, still make a lot of yield, and make more money? That's what we're covering in this Economic Fertility Challenge episode of XtremeAg's Cutting the Curve.
Welcome to XtremeAg's Cutting the Curve podcast, where real farmers share real insights and real results to help you improve your farming operation. And now, here's your host, Damian Mason.
Hey there, welcome to a special edition of XtremeAg's Cutting the Curve. We're doing a whole series of these episodes, short and sweet, and we're talking to you about the Economic Fertility Challenge. Last year, we teamed up with our friends at AgroLiquid, and we did this at Matt Miles' farm on corn and soybean. It was soybean production, corn production. And it was very educational. We said, let's expand that. So we're doing corn, soy, and wheat, and we're doing a number of different experimentations with this, if you will. So Johnny Verell, Kelly Garrett, and Matt Miles all are participating in the corn competition, and they're teaming up with the experts from AgroLiquid. I've got Stephanie Zelinko and Aaron Stahl from AgroLiquid, and I've got those three XtremeAg guys here, Matt, Kelly, and Johnny, talk to you about the corn challenge. Kelly, you put this in, or to be more accurate, your son Vern and your agronomist Mike Evans put it in. The goal is 300 bushels per acre on a $60 post-applied fertility budget. Tell me about the experimentation.
Yes, it's something that we do very similar to our grower standard practice here. We will have some base fertility up front. We will, this would be in a higher yielding area, so there wouldn't be a lot of nitrogen. Probably about 80 to 100 pounds of nitrogen is all that would go up front. And then throughout the season, we will take our sap test and see what we need to supplement. The base fertility would have been the plant food, which is the liquid byproduct that I have that we spread on many acres. And then we're going to, like I said, come back with the sap test. And what we try to do is achieve mineral balance, just like we do on all crops.
What do you think we're going to find out? Usually, you and I have been talking about this in a number of recordings. We find out we overapply fertility, we spend too much, and we don't get the product. We don't get the product into the plant. And these kind of experiments force you to become more rationing, and then it kind of dawns on you, why the hell weren't we doing this to begin with?
Well, exactly. If you look at the December corn board right now, I haven't looked at it today, but it's approximately 420. You take a basis off of that or add to it, depending on what part of the country, and I don't care where you're at, Arkansas, Tennessee, or Iowa, 420 on the Board of Trade is not great. And to me, that makes the SAP test even more important, because how do you manage what you don't measure? And if you're over applying or wasting anything, we just don't have room to waste with $4.20 December corn. And so I very much want the crop to reach potential. I very much don't want to waste anything, and I want to be the low cost producer while I'm reaching potential, and that's the reason that we manage the way we do.
All right, so if you're watching this right now, if you're listening to it, great. If you're watching it, because we release all these on our website, XtremeAg.farm, as well as YouTube. If you're watching it, you're probably saying, of course Matt has to cut back on fertility spend. He needs money for blinds. Right now, there's a sun shining through his window, and you almost can't see him because he moved offices, and man needs curtains. Lori came walking in a little bit going, do you need anything? I said, no, but start a GoFundMe account so we can buy some curtains for Matt's office. Anyway.
They're ordered. They just aren't here yet. That was how you pre-plan stuff and make sure everything's perfect when you build something new? That wasn't in, we lacked that in our planning.
I've got a room addition going on
right here. I'm trying to stay out of the zone.
I got a room addition going on right now, and the more I look at it, the more I think that nothing was perfectly planned, and that's the way construction works. We joke about the fact that, we didn't joke, but Kelly might have joked and said that the competition last year was held at your farm. You put in the plots, and yet you lost. You did the worst out of all of the competitors in the yield challenge last year, and it was on your farm. Kelly made that crack. Is Kelly going to lose on his farm this year to you?
Well, I don't know. If he cheats, he probably won't. Yeah, that tells you right there that I didn't cheat at all when I end up losing the plot. Now, I did have some other things go on in my plot that didn't quite go on in the others, but either way, it was an eye-opening experience to me. We were all within a few bushels of each other and a few dollars of each other, but I definitely come in last.
By the way, I think the fun part about this is that, you can put the ego aside and say, my plot lost at this, but look at the learning that we did. And so last year, what'd you learn that you're applying to this year?
Yeah, well, if you see the picture that I posted on Facebook the other day of my corns, I've got some of the best corn I've ever had, and that was done with 0.8 of a pound of nitrogen. So, we used to be 1.2 pounds, and now we're down to 0.8, 0.6 to 0.8, just depends. So I'm producing the same or better corn with less nitrogen, and it goes back to what Kelly says with the sap samples or any. If you're not doing anything, do something, because it gives you an idea of what you need and what you got, through your research on your farm, and what you need and what you don't need. And this year, 2 or 3 wrong applications could be the difference of being in farming next year or not being in farming in our area for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So, by the way, you cut back. You're not using 2/3 as much nitrogen as you used to, and you're making better corn. So, there's a great example. Kelly's been making this point, and Johnny's been making this point with their studies and their field days last year. Big, huge nitrogen reduction. So, Johnny, let's go to you. By the way, he says, okay, do sap sampling and tissue sampling, and then you know what you're doing. The problem is, you guys set your prescriptions on these field days that I've got the paperwork here. You set these protocols and prescriptions up pre-season. So whether I pull sap samples now or not, what difference does it make? You've already set the prescription for what your post-applied fertility program is going to look like.
Yeah, so like Kelly, he went for all the different micronutrients. He pretty much every one of them you could possibly name off the periodic table he threw in there. I went for volume. I put out 5 gallons more product to the acre over what Kelly did, basically. So I was just going from volume, quantity, over all the different micronutrients, thinking I could throw that at it. So we'll see how it turns out. But at the end of the day, I focus on just a handful of nutrients and just put out more of those.
Well, and Damon, to what you said, that's where I'm talking about the research and development. So Kelly's been doing sap samples, or guys doing tissue samples or whatever for a lot of years. So they know the demand curve. They know when those crops need what they need. So you can kind of pre-plan to a certain extent based on normal weather, because the research that's been done with the previous crops with the sap sample, so you can pre-plan a little bit. Now you're going to have some anomalies come in there during the season, depending on weather and temperature, which I guess temperature is weather. But if you've done it in the past, we've always said this, these samples aren't just for the year you're looking at. If you're doing tissues and not sap, then if you see a problem and you go tissue sample, you're too late,
Yeah, so here's the deal. Stephanie, are we allowed to make amendments to what our plan is? If we pull sap samples on June 10th and they tell us something, can I amend my plan for my plot, or are we stuck with what we said preseason we were going to do?
For this trial, we were stuck with it because everything went out, at the start of the season. So we were kind of committed to.
Is that because the fertility company is difficult to work with and they wanted to ship all the stuff back in March and make it easy on them?
Absolutely not. It's because it was planter applied. So, the crop's planted, so you can't change and take nutrients out of the soil. And so, but when we're dealing with foliar applications, like we're doing cotton foliar. Yeah, if we were doing sap or tissue tests, we could have made adjustments along with that.
Yeah. Aarron, what do you think about all this? This is your first year doing this, isn't it?
Yeah, and this is the first time I've never put a phosphorus up front, but talking to Kelly and Mike, it was like, we've got a lot of phosphorus out there. Let's go after stuff that has been short on sap samples and things like that. So this is a different one for me. I'm curious to see how it plays out.
What about the pressure? I mean, let's just pretend it's just you and me, and we're just kind of like sitting down and we're kind of having a moment. Is the pressure too great for you, Aarron? I mean, is it keeping you up at night?
Not yet. We'll see how this year goes. Like what Kelly said, with the price of corn, I think this next year is going to be a challenge.
What about the taunting? Are you used to this kind of taunting? These XtremeAg guys get a little taunty.
Oh, it's all right. They're farmers. I get it. Deal with it all every day.
All right. On the $60 spend, tell me roughly where you put it. Johnny Verell, where'd you put it? Do you know where you put your money? You said 5 big things. What?
Yeah, I know I put out sulfur and phosphorus, and some calcium also are my biggest players. They used up about 2/3 of my budget, those 3 products.
How different, Stephanie, how different are the 3 things? You get to see them, right?
I do. So it is funny because we have Johnny on that simpler side looking at basically NPK, those cheaper nutrients. So he did get to put a higher volume out. Then you have Kelly on the opposite end, that had everything out there in small quantities, all those micros. And then Matt sat kind of halfway in between. He did do some of those primary nutrients and he did do some of those micros. So kind of a good balance halfway in between the other two guys. So it is interesting. Everyone had the same $60 spend, but a whole range of where they put those dollars.
Are we putting out fertility at time of planting and then 2 times during the season?
Just at planting.
All of it was done at time of planting.
Yep.
2 by 2 or in furrow?
2 by 2.
Got it. Okay. So this budget doesn't involve something that might get put on right now. We're recording this July 23rd. Something could be put on right now, and it's not part of this $60 budget.
Correct.
Okay. Got it. Where do you think, Matt Miles, you had a big learning curve last year in your thing, and you were willing to admit that, there was the overspend or the lack of budget yield, whatever. Where do you think most people are overspending and not getting anything from it when it comes to corn?
Like in my area?
Yep.
I would say nitrogen would be the first one.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably everybody's area, right?
Yeah. Well, and see, old school, it didn't matter if it was cotton or rice or corn. If something didn't look right, throw more nitrogen on. That was the old mentality, is it really didn't matter, just throw the nitrogen out there. And what we've seen, and Kelly's taught us a lot about that, and his team, is, a balance. So you can throw the nitrogen out there, and if you don't have the microbes to support it, what do you call it, Kelly? Unassimilated?
Unassimilated. You want to assimilate the nitrogen.
So you're not, it don't matter how, I could throw 500, I did that one time. So I had a high yield soybean plot. I put 500 pounds of ammonium sulfate on it in 5 different applications. That cost me a lot of money. It was a small plot, but the field next door to it cut 2 bushel less, and the ROI wasn't even close to being the same.
Yeah, so I think that most people, and maybe most all part of the country, would probably be guilty of overapplying nitrogen if you're talking about that. So what's the advice you give?
I think we're over-applying nitrogen. I think we're under-applying microbes.
Kelly, you've said that now for a year and a half.
Oh, really? Yes. I didn't mean to say.
No, I'm saying, because he did that with his low nitrogen trials last year at his field day, and then so did Johnny. So so you've been saying that. Where'd you put your money where your mouth is in this particular study? What's your pounds of nitrogen? 0.6 or something, right?
My pounds of nitrogen will be about, it depends on the yield to come to that answer, but yes, it'll be approximately 0.6. No, actually, it could be less than 0.5. I mean, I would hope with the year that we've had this year, that it would be much less than that. Because in a high yield area, we're down to 80 pounds of nitrogen, 240 bushel corn's 0.33.
Yeah.
But see, he's got a lot of nitrogen in his soil, correct me if I'm wrong, Kelly, where we have basically none. We're looking at 6-inch topsoil. Will says I got soil on top. I don't even have topsoil, and Kelly's got, I don't know how deep, and Johnny's in the middle. So you've got to kind of look at your region and where you're at. I have to apply nitrogen. I can't go as low as Kelly can, probably on any of the nutrients, but I have seen where we've got a lot of waste, what we're doing. 1.2, think about it, 1.2 pounds of nitrogen per bushel.
Yep.
And Kelly's doing it with half or less.
Yep.
I should be able to do it with 2/3 or less.
Well, you are. Biggest mistake you see, Aarron, when you go and look at this, and that you think that you'll be able to take the information from this fertility challenge that we're doing and then go out and tell your customers, because you want them to be prosperous, you want them to be solvent, you want them to have money. What are you going to take from this fertility challenge you're doing with XtremeAg and share with your customer base?
Well, it's fine-tuning the micros. There's some things Kelly's put in there, the fulvic. I haven't dealt, with our fulvic as much. It's just been a focus on the general NPK and, zinc and things like that. So with this moly that he's added, the fulvic, more copper, I've always spiked boron, but these other ones, it's going to be interesting to see, have I been cutting myself a little short on things, not focusing on fine-tuning these micros like he has. So there's going to be it's a learning curve.
Stephanie, you farm yourself, you and your husband in Central Michigan. You do a challenge like this, and do you then go say, hey, honey, you know what? I think we spent $100,000 too much last year on fertility. We really got to dial that back. Do you actually do you actually practice then what you preach?
Absolutely. That's the only way we're going to get better as farmers, is to look at what other people are doing. And, you don't have to do exactly what they're doing, because every operation is different. Every growing condition is different, but you can learn off of some of these things and then correlate those back to what you're doing. And that's how you're going to get better in your own operation.
Johnny, who's going to win this corn economic fertility challenge?
My bet is on Kelly. He knows what his crop needs.
Yeah, I thought that last year too, and that didn't work out for me.
Yeah.
Do you have a chance, Mr. Verell? You're a sharp guy. You know what you're doing.
I don't know. I put all my eggs like in 4 products, so we'll see. I looked at some of Kelly was putting out like 4 ounces. I was putting out 2 gallons. So,
Well, and that's kind
my
of
ratios are going to be off probably.
That's kind of like our challenge spot on the cotton ears. That's really cool because a couple of guys did 2 applications and Kelly and I did 4. I'm a big proponent of spoon feeding, the cotton plant as it gets older. And a couple of guys, did one of them do 1, Stephanie? Or everybody at least did 2, didn't they?
Yeah, everyone did at least 2.
Yeah, and Kelly and I did 4 smaller amounts. So I kind of did what Kelly did on his corn on my cotton, and and then I kind of fell in between JV and Kelly on this corn plot. I'm just happy to have some ground in Iowa. I don't care what it makes. I'm just happy to say I farm a little ground in Iowa. I said this earlier. I had a genie and I got 3 wishes. All 3 wishes would be I could farm in Iowa.
I think we're going to leave it right there. So finally, Matt gets to farm in Iowa. If you want to keep up with these fertility challenges, we're going to do a series of these recordings, these special recordings to cover it throughout the season because it's a really cool thing that we're doing. So stay tuned, keep up with them. Obviously, the main objective is learning for us, but also sharing it with you. You got tight fertility budgets because you got tight commodity prices. You know what? You might be overspending. Chances are you are overspending. Learn from these trials, learn from our experiments, and then apply it to your farming operation. We can't all promise you that you're going to have land in Iowa. But you know what? You can live vicariously through Matt and me, the older brother that Kelly always wished he had. Till next time, it's Kelly Garrett, Matt Miles, Johnny Verell with XtremeAg, Aarron Stahl, and Stephanie Zelinko with AgroLiquid. Keep up with our stuff. If you enjoy what we're doing here, there's a whole library, videos that these guys shoot at their farms, available at XtremeAg.farm, also on our YouTube channel. There's hundreds of episodes of Cutting the Curve, and there's also a monthly webinar. If you want to become a member, it's only $750 a year, and you get access to these guys and also the year-end data. That is more than worth $750, plus you'll get special offers from some of our business partners. Again, you can do all this at XtremeAg.farm, where you can also find our new hit show, The Granary, taped at my farm right here with these guys. It's a lot of fun, so go check it out. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel. So next time, thanks for being here. I'm Damian Mason with XtremeAg's Cutting the Curve.
That's a wrap for this episode of Cutting the Curve. Make sure to check out XtremeAg.farm for more great content to help you squeeze more profit out of your farming operation.